Have you ever really stopped to think about your digital self? And I'm not just talking about your social media profile. I mean the whole picture, right? The one that's being painted with every click, every message, every single thing you do online. How has that picture changed? And maybe more importantly, what are we asking technology to show us about ourselves right now? Well, let's dive into that. Okay, so we're going to kick things off with something super modern and honestly, pretty vulnerable. It's a question people are actually asking the machines they talk to every single day. And it really gets to the heart of this new, kind of intimate relationship we're building with tech. So get this. This is a real prompt pulled from Reddit that a user asked ChatGPT. Just let that sink in for a second. This person isn't asking for a summary of facts or, to write an email. No, this is a plea for a character assessment, for some real introspection. It's basically like asking an AI for a soul audit. And what's crazy is that the AI's response, well, it can feel surprisingly profound. You'll notice it's not just listing off adjectives like you're smart or you're kind. It's actually building a narrative. It's pointing out a core struggle, a pattern of behavior that feels so personal. I mean, it's almost like something a therapist might say. So the AI comes back with this really complex portrait. It's full of light and shadow. It sees strengths, sure, like courage and curiosity, but it also calls out these really challenging patterns, things like emotional looping or being the one who always carries the emotional labor for other people. I mean, think about it. We are willingly pouring our innermost thoughts into these systems, and what we get back are these incredibly detailed reflections of our own psychology. But this whole open, voluntary sharing of our inner selves, that's really only one side of the coin. Because on the flip side, there's this long, long history of digital control. It's been this constant battle over who gets to access information and how they get to do it. And that's a whole different kind of digital identity, one that's being defined for us, not by us. Yeah, so this timeline really shows this escalating arms race in what's called DRM, or digital rights management. That's the tech that controls who gets to use stuff. It all started out pretty simple back in the 90s, right? You just have to look up a word in a physical game manual to prove you owned it. Then it got a little cleverer, with tricks on the game discs themselves. Then it got kind of wild, with in-game punishments for pirated copies, like a literally invincible scorpion that would just hunt you down. Fast forward to today, and it's incredibly sophisticated. We're talking about systems that can trace an illegal movie stream all the way back to the specific person who started it. Okay, so you've got this world of deep AI psychoanalysis over here, and this invisible, super complex digital control over there. Now, I want you to forget all of that for a second. We're about to jump in a time machine and go way back, about 50 years, to see what a digital self even meant back then. And trust me, the contrast is, well, it's pretty shocking. Take a look at this. This is the cover of the GAO Review, which was a government publication for auditors, from way back in the summer of '76. This has absolutely nothing to do with personal identity or streaming movies. Nope, this is a window into a completely different world, a world where data had a totally different job. And the key is right here in how they defined things back then. In 1976, computer processing was basically about one thing, and one thing only: crunching numbers for big institutions. The data was all numerical, and its whole purpose was statistical analysis for stuff like financial audits. That's it. It was completely impersonal, and that was the whole point. I mean, this comparison right here just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got a data collection form from 1976. Your life is just a series of check boxes and fields for numbers. Number of children, divorced, yes or no. And then on the right, you've got today's data input. This raw, unstructured, emotional paragraph asking an AI about who you are as a person. We've literally gone from filling in structured boxes to just pouring out our stream of consciousness. So the big question is, how in the world did we get from point A to point B? This shift from seeing data as just an audit to seeing it as our actual identity is one of the most profound and maybe one of the quietest revolutions of the last 50 years. And this is what that data looked like back in '76, after a computer processed it. The magazine itself calls it a jumble of numbers. And that's what it was. It was just a code, a long sequence of digits that only the computer and maybe an auditor could ever hope to understand. Your entire digital picture as a person was basically a single line of code buried in a massive data file. And this is our data today. We went from that jumble of numbers to deeply psychological phrases like emotional looping and mental overload. The very essence of what we even think of as data about ourselves has completely transformed. It went from being just numbers to being all about our story, our emotions. So the shift in the purpose of all this is crystal clear. Back in 1976, the whole goal was, and I'm quoting the review here, to create new information. Basically, to sort people into these big, broad statistical buckets. But today, the goal, like that Reddit user said, is to see our full 360-degree reality, our weirdness, our flaws, every single thing that makes us unique. So let's step back. What does this incredible 50-year journey really mean? What does it mean for us today, when the mirror we hold up to see ourselves isn't just a simple piece of glass anymore, but this incredibly complex algorithm? I think this really is the heart of the whole transformation. We started out by feeding computers these neat, orderly punch cards so they could run a financial audit on a company. And now? Now we feed them the messy, emotional, complicated text of our lives so they can run a soul audit on us. And this whole evolution, it comes with a pretty big trade-off. On one hand, we've gotten these powerful new tools for self-reflection, we've built this relationship with technology that's more intimate than ever before, but at the very same time, those systems of control we talked about, they've become so complex, they're practically invisible, shaping who we are and what we can see in ways we probably don't even notice. So at the end of the day, we're left with this. We started by asking computers a simple question. What's the sum of these numbers? Today, we're asking them, what's the sum of me? And as this technology just keeps evolving at a blinding pace, the most important question isn't really about what it can do. It's about what we're going to choose to ask it. So, what do you think we should ask next?